Hello book friends, my name is Jen. Welcome back to my channel. This is my September TBR. I live in Florida, so for me fall is all about the vibes, and for me fall starts September 1st, no doubt about it. But let's be honest, I have been drinking pumpkin coffee for at least 3 weeks already. For the summertime, I mainly mood read. This actually turned out pretty great for me, and I will be posting my July-August reading wrap-up all together in a video, hopefully sometime this week. However, today I am fully prepared to bring back the Dragon Hoard Board. I am going to do this a little bit differently than I have done it in the past. I will be rolling, moving my spaces, and choosing the books in real time. Whereas before I was rolling and then picking the books and telling you which books I picked for each prompt. My goal is to use the Dragon Hoard Board for the next 4 months to close out 2025 and maybe make a new board, maybe do something completely different in 2026. I feel like I'm yelling because I have the camera so far away from me for this video because I wanted to get as much of my TBR stacks in the shot as possible. So I hope it doesn't sound like I'm screaming at you. My main goal over the next 4 months is to get my TBR, my physical TBR, as small as possible, which, let's be honest, that has been my goal for the entire year. I started 2025 with 85 books on my physical TBR shelf. I have read that number down to 57. However, I have also added 45 books to that list since the beginning of 2025. So for the next 4 months, I'm going to try to read as much from my physical TBR as possible. This is not the entire physical TBR. These are just 2 stacks. And I'm also going to try to read a book off my Kindle and a book in a series every month as well. But a majority of what I read, I want it to come from these stacks right here, plus a few more that I'm going to add in upcoming months. One thing that I noticed is I hit my reading goal of 75 in August, which that's great. So why did I not read 75 books off of my physical TBR? And what I noticed was actually a majority of the audiobooks that I was listening to were books that were not on my TBR. They were books that just happened to come in from Libby, or they were available when I needed them to be available. And it really wasn't helping me in my goal of getting these stacks smaller. I do have a few books on my Libby account that I'm waiting to come in, but I'm going to try for the remainder of this year into next year to only read books that I am also physically reading on my TBR. Sometimes I just need the audiobook. Sometimes I want to get the reading in. I want to get the pages in, but I also want to play on my Switch. So that's where audiobooks come in really handy for me. I just need to be a little bit more focused, make sure that what I'm listening to is helping me in my goal of getting my numbers lower. So these books that I have pulled off of my TBR stack are going to be the books that I pick for September and October. These are all of my witchy, spooky, fall vibe books. Some of them are not really fall vibes. They're not spooky. But for example, Demon Copperhead has the word demon in it. Spark of the Everflame has autumn vibes on the front. I don't know if there's anything about autumn or spooky or witchy or anything in this book, but it did just give me these cozy fall time vibes, which is what I'm going for in this stack. In November, I'm going to add some cozy books in here. And then in December, I will add some winter themed books, which I need help curating. I have like 4 on my list right now, but that's thinking a little too far ahead. So let's focus on September, autumn, fall, spooky, witchy vibes. A little refresh on this game. So this is the Dragon Hoard. And at the beginning of the game, I will roll a d20, and that will tell me how many rolls that I'm going to have in the game. So the amount of books that I actually walk away with could be more or less than that number. If I make it all the way here to the top to the dragon in exactly the right number of spaces with none left over, I get to buy a new book. Also, if at any time during gameplay I roll a natural 20, I will save that till the end, and that will allow me to swap a book out with another book if I so choose. And if I roll a 1, which I think that's a critical hit, I think that's what it's called in D&D. It's been a little while since I played. I have to add a roll to my gameplay. Other than that, I'll just sort of explain things as we go and as we land on them. So I do have my game piece that I usually use, which I know it's really small, it's really tiny to see, but this is my D&D character. She is a bard named Rhapsody because, you know, if you were going to send somebody from your party into the Dragon Hoard Board or into the Dragon Cave to defeat the dragon, why would you not send a bard? And since I normally play this on a flat surface and today I'm going to be holding it up, I am going to have to put a little bit of tape on the bottom of her, and I hope that that does not destroy my board. Before we get into the real nitty-gritty, I just want to say, anytime you like, comment, or subscribe to any of my videos, that greatly helps me out. It helps my videos be seen more, and it also generates conversation in the comments, which I love to talk to you about books. So I would love to know if any of the books are on your TBR, what is on your TBR, or if you have read any of these books. Now, because I am further away from the camera, you won't be able to see as close up as in some of my other TBR videos, so I'm just going to have to tell you what they say, and you're going to have to trust me. So I have my D20. Let's roll and see how many rolls I'm going to use in this game. I rolled an 8. So kind of in the middle, not too bad. I can handle that. I can work with the number 8. The tape is not sticking to Rhapsody, so we're going to just have to improvise. We're going to start here. Let's see how far we have to move for our first roll. 1. So 1, that puts us right here on this white space. The first space has a white book with an S on the front. That means setting. So I'm going to come over here where you can't see, but I promise I'm doing everything legit. I have the setting cards right here, and I am going to randomly pull one. And it says a book set in the future. And I don't know what I have that's set in the future. So let me take a look. I have 2 here. So I have Gideon the Ninth. This would be starting a series, which I'm completely okay with. I've been doing pretty good about reading through series lately. And this one has been on my TBR for a really long time. I have heard people say that it is lesbian necromancers in space. So that is an option. This is a science fantasy. And then the other one would be continuing a series, and this is Aurora Burning. This is the second book. The first book was Aurora Rising. I really liked that one. And I really think that I want to continue this series. So there are some other books in here that would be first books in series. And so I don't want to pick a book that is the beginning of a series right off the bat. I want to give myself some wiggle room. So first book on my TBR is Aurora Burning. It is set in the future, but it also has those orange fall colors on the front, so it's sort of giving me the fall vibes. I mean, it's a stretch, but it's there. So first book, Aurora Burning. All right, roll number 2. I rolled a 2, so we started here. 1, 2, it landed on a feather. That is a magical item. Here are all of my magical item cards. I'm going to randomly choose one. This one has an emotion or a feeling in the title. All right, let me take a look through here. Ooh, okay. Maybe this one. Let me look on my Kindle. Emotion or feeling in the title. So I really only could find one. This one was a harder prompt than I thought it was going to be. This one might be a stretch. All right, we're going to choose between these two. The first one is a novel. This is a classic. This is by Ray Bradbury. He is one of my favorite authors, one of my favorite classic authors. I teach about him to my middle schoolers, and they absolutely love all of his just weird, futuristic concepts. So this is Something Wicked This Way Comes, and I feel like wicked would be I feel like this is being used as an adjective, but I feel like you could also use wicked as a feeling or an emotion. Now that I'm talking about it, I really feel like this one doesn't fit, but let's see what the other one is. The other one is from an author who I have 3 of his books, even though I've never read anything by him. He's one of the authors who I know I'm going to love, even though I've never read anything by him. That's Stephen Graham Jones. So I picked The Only Good Indians. Again, good is being used to describe Indians, so it is being used as an adjective, but you can feel good about something, right? So that's sort of like a feeling or an emotion. Again, I know that this is a stretch, but because I'm really trying to read off of the books that I already have, and because this is my game and I make the rules, we're going to go with The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones. An author who I follow recently made a reel about the scariest books they've ever read, and this one was on the list. It says that this is a tale of revenge, cultural identity, and the cost of breaking from tradition, seamlessly blending classic horror and a dramatic narrative with social commentary. This follows 4 American Indian men after a disturbing event from their youth puts them in a desperate struggle for their lives. Tracked by an entity bent on revenge, these childhood friends are helpless as the culture and traditions that they have left behind catch up to them in a violent and vengeful way. And I have been wanting to add more horror to my reading list, so we're going to go with The Only Good Indians. Sorry, Ray Bradbury, you go back in the stack. Rule number 3. 18. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. That looks like another magical item. Back to the magical item stack. Hopefully this one will be a little easier than the last prompt. Going to randomly pick. Ooh, all right, I can do this one. The longest title on your TBR. Longest title on my TBR. All right, so let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 8. Ooh, okay, I think it's going to be that one. Let's see. Yes, okay, so this is it. This is the longest title on my TBR. It has 8 words in it. This is Bat Eater and Other Names for Cora Zhang. I did get this in an aardvark box a little while ago, and I haven't read it yet. One of my favorite booktubers, Sydney, loved this book. And because of her recommendation, I have been wanting to get to it really bad. It says on here that this is for fans of The Only Good Indians, which I just put on my TBR, so I think that this is perfect. Cora Zhang is a crime scene cleaner, washing away the remains of brutal murders and suicides in Chinatown. But none of that seems so terrible when she has already witnessed the most horrific thing possible, her sister Delilah being pushed in front of a train. Before fleeing the scene, the murderer shouted 2 words, Bat Eater. So the bloody messes don't really bother Cora. She's more bothered by the germs on the subway railing, the bare hands of a stranger, the hidden viruses in every corner, and the bite marks on her coffee table. Of course, ever since Delilah was killed in front of her, Cora can't be sure what's real and what's in her head. She pushes away all feelings and ignores the advice of her aunt to prepare for the Hungry Ghost Festival when the gates of hell open. But she can't ignore the dread in her stomach as she keeps finding bat carcasses at crime scenes, or the scary fact that all her recent cleanups have been the bodies of East Asian women. As Cora will soon learn, you just can't ignore the hungry ghosts. So far, I am so excited about my TBR. All right, we are here on the Magical Fan. We are here on the Magical Fan. Let's see what our next roll brings. 8, 7, 8. I landed on a monster. All right, here are my D&D monster cards. Randomly choosing a TBR newbie. Got lots of those. Remember, I added 45 books to my TBR this year already. All right, I have 5 books that I think could be on this list, so I'm going to just quickly show them to you. This is Catabasis. This is brand new. I actually just got this in the mail yesterday. This is the Fairy Loot edition. The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillard. Another Fairy Loot, Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. Camp Damascus by Chuck Tingle. Haven't read anything by him yet, but I do have an Aardvark book that I got for this month coming from him, Lucky Days. And I think this one won, I want to say, the Nebula Award for 2024, I don't know. This won some big award recently. Someone you can build a nest in. Now, I am leaning towards one of these two, purely for the fact that they are shorter. They're on the shorter side. And I want to make sure that I can get through as many of these books this month and this year as possible. I think I'm going to go with Someone You Can Build a Nest In. I think that the cover of this book is so cool, and it just won a pretty prestigious award. And I have heard very mixed things on the internet about this. I would like to formulate my own opinion. I hope the lighting is okay. The sun is going behind some clouds, and I only have this little light, which, by the way, side note, this is one of those lamps that you put a candle underneath, and I love smelly things in my house, but I am afraid of candles because one of my cats has a very furry tail, and I'm just afraid it's going to go up in flames. Also, I can usually smell the smell of the wick over the smell of what the candle is supposed to be. So these lamps, I bought one just to try it out, and I now have one upstairs and one downstairs, and they are so good. And I'm not sponsored, but they're very cool. They work, and I highly recommend them. Okay, next roll. So we stopped on Monster. Oh, yes! 20. That means at the end, I can swap a book out. So let's start here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I landed on the clock, which is actually kind of silly because the clock just basically lets me rewind and switch a book out, which is what I got with the 20. So I don't pick a book for this prompt. I don't pick a book for this roll. And my roll and what I landed on basically told me the same thing. So I have 3 rolls left. 16, that's my lucky number. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I landed on the gold coin. Okay, so for the gold coin, I have to roll a d6. And if it's odd, I have to go back that number of spaces. And if it's even, I have to go forward that number of spaces. I don't have a d6 upstairs with me. So I'm going to just roll my d20 until I hit a number 1 through 6. Nope. Okay, I rolled a 4 on that one. You're just going to have to trust me. It's a 4. So I'm going to go ahead 4 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4. That put me on a blue book with a G on the cover. And G stands for genre, so I have my genre cards here. Let's see what I get. Favorite genre. Clearly, my favorite genre is fantasy, and I have a lot of fantasy here, but I have not picked a book from my Kindle yet, so let me get that out and see what I have loaded up here. All right, so I'm going to just sort of read through what I have. I have Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, which I sort of wanted to save that for more springtime. I have Lightlark. I have The Dark Lord's Guide to Dating. I don't know if that's fantasy or romance or both. I don't know. The Midnight Bookshop. I think that's fantasy. The Baby Dragon Cafe. Now, I may choose that one because it is a quick read. I think there is some romance in it. Let's see. I have another Stephen Graham Jones. I Was a Teenage Slasher. That's romance. For Whom the Bell Tolls. I don't really know anything about that. I literally just put this on my Kindle because Belle is spelled B-E-L-L-E, like Beauty and the Beast, Belle. And she's one of my favorites, so I was excited about that. I have Direbound. I have a lit RPG, He Who Fights Monsters, The Book of Doors, A Dowry of Blood. I'm sort of Kaigen. I don't know if that is fantasy or not. I have Lost in Time. That is sci-fi. Nettle and Bone by T. Kingfisher, but I don't really feel in the mood to read a T. Kingfisher. I have another lit RPG, Off to Be the Wizard, and then I have Guild. And I think after all of these, I am going to choose the Baby Dragon Cafe. I can use this sort of as a palate cleanser if some of these other books get a little too heavy. Okay, 2 rolls left. 6. So I was here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is another magical item. Lots of magical items this round. All right, here's my cards. I'm randomly choosing. Whew. I don't know. A 1-word title. Dang, hold on. Oh, I have one. I have one. And it's a thinner book, so I like that about it. Pines by Blake Crouch. Have heard a lot of really good things about this. Some booktubers that I watch have recently reviewed it, and they really liked it. And it's a TV show. And I've read 2 other books by Blake Crouch, and I've really liked them. I realize that I have not been telling you what all of these books are about. So if you're interested, let me tell you what this one says. Shishin is a shapeshifter, that's a mouthful, who happily resides as an amorphous lump at the bottom of a ruined manor. When her rest is interrupted by impolite monster hunters, she constructs a body from the remains of past meals, a metal chain for a backbone, borrowed bones for limbs, and a bear trap for an extra mouth. Badly hurt by the hunters, Shishin's nursed back to health by Homily, a warm-hearted human. Homily is kind and would make a great co-parent, an ideal place to lay Shishin's eggs. Creepy as F right there. Back to Pines. I think this is like a mystery thriller. It says Secret Service agent Ethan Burke arrives in Wayward Pines, Idaho with a mission. Locate 2 federal agents who went missing in the bucolic town 1 month earlier. But within minutes of his arrival, Ethan is involved in a violent accident. He comes to in a hospital with no ID, no cell phone, no briefcase. That happens a lot in Blake Crouch's books, by the way. As the days pass, Ethan's investigation turns up more questions than answers. Why can't he get any phone calls through to his wife and son in the outside world? Why doesn't anyone believe why doesn't anyone believe he is who he says he is? And what is the purpose of the electrified fences around the town? Are they meant to keep the residents in or something else out? Each step closer to the truth takes Ethan farther from the world he knew, from the man he was, until he must face a horrifying fact. He may never get out of Wayward Pines alive. So, excited to put this one on my list. Last roll. Another 16. I don't even know if I have 16 spaces left. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 14. No, I have to land on this in exactly the right amount of rolls. And the rule is if I can't land on something within the designated number, it doesn't count, which means that this last roll doesn't count. The dice did not do me dirty. I am really excited about my TBR. I have a book from my Kindle, which I wanted. I have a book to continue on in a series. The only thing is, I have the option to swap something out. So, because again, this is my game, instead of swapping something out, I'm going to add something. And that is the smallest book on this TBR. And that is Thornhedge by T. Kingfisher. Very short. Now, I have a love-hate relationship with T. Kingfisher. I've read 2 or 3 of her other books, and I haven't loved them, but I haven't hated them. They were just okay. So I think I'm going to let this one sort of judge if I'm going to continue on with her as an author. Even if I really dislike this book, though, I still really want to read Paladin's Grace by her. So it may actually, even if I dislike this book, I may give her one more chance. So here is my stack. We have Thornhedge by T. Kingfisher. The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones. Aurora Burning by Jay Kristoff and Amy Kaufman. Pines by Blake Crouch. Someone You Can Build a Nest In by John Wiswell. And Bat Eaters and Other Names for Cora Zhang by Kylie Lee Baker. Thank you for hanging out with me. I can't wait to tell you what books I read, hopefully all of them. I can't wait to tell you what I thought of them. And I just want to have book discussions with you. So let me know what you're reading. Let me know if you've read any of these. Like, comment, and subscribe. And until the next video, happy reading.